Yeah.
All right, we are rolling live.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I haven't been drinking for a long time. No, you can't find it right.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Warm, but
This
it's
is,
cold. Right.
Paul Franzen at Iwalu. They want to do a controlled burn, they want to coordinate with you guys. Okay, all righty, thank you.
I'm warm, but my hands are cold.
Yes, I got the wrong.
Mr.
I think you autoimmune disease. I have poor circulation.
No, I didn't do it. Okay, thanks. There you go.
And Megan informed me she won't be here this week, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that guy you talked to, Dina, was pretty nice, wasn't he?
Oh, the inspector? Yeah, very nice, very aggressive. Happy to hear that we were on board with, whatever they needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah. What's wrong?
I'm still recovering from dance competition.
Oh, how did that go?
It was at a high school, but it was originally a church.
Oh,
And it
fun.
was like one of those big Baptist church, it's like,
Yeah.
got the big stage and stuff. It was church beauty, basically, but I sat in for 2 days.
Oh.
And yeah.
That's in Des Moines, right?
Yeah.
How crazy are the parents at those things?
Some a little more than others.
Yeah.
I'm a seasoned one, my child's old enough. So you guys text me when you need something.
Yeah.
But one of their dances, she like goes off stage and she's supposed to just go around back of it. The way that's built, she had to go up the stairs around the balcony and come back down.
Nice.
And then they got called to the showcase to do it again.
Yeah.
For the judges to watch it without having to critique.
Yeah.
So she had to do it again like 10 minutes later.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
We're taking the truck right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, don't stress over these because we're going to go through these line by line. And I should have, like in retrospect, had a magnifying glass.
Could you put it bigger next time?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, man, how can I put this bigger? But to get it all on one page was a little challenging.
There you go.
All right, I have to talk, so call me for this. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. Go ahead and do roll call. Deb? Here. Michelle? Here. Megan? Sarah?
Yes, here.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I so move. Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda. Any questions? Now we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
All right. Number 4, motion to discuss fiscal year 26 budget.
Make motion. Second. Go ahead.
Motion second.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about revenue projections and year-end fund balance projections. And the method here is, last week I gave you all like the expenditure side, so very detailed expense side. I've gotten a couple of questions. If there's any more questions, email, text, or calling anyway, I'm happy to compile the list. Today we're going to go over revenue and fund balances, and then next week we're going to put it all together and see how the revenues play with the expenses and what net profit or loss we're going to have. and how much of that will be covered by rolling over funds, or, you know, if we need to take on any new debt. So just wanted to go through segment by segment and then put it all together. And then the other thing that we're going to be discussing tonight, or actually not really discussing, but voting on, we have to have a property tax hearing. You remember that from last year. We have to set it. We're going to set it, you know, for March 26th. And just as a reminder, like, that is the worst case scenario property tax hearing. So once we have that hearing, we can't make the property tax go up. We can only make it go down. It's not to worry. We're already at the maximum limit by law, which is what's proposed. So that's what we'll do there. And then we'll also make an announcement for anybody in the public that's looking at that and, like, wondering, you know, why is that where it's at. We'll let them know. So anyway, tonight, let's start with the small sheets, the 8.5 by 11, and these are revenue projections. And what I've done is I've put the fiscal year 25 budget on the left column, and the fiscal year 26 estimates, and then the percentage change, so that you can kind of see there's a couple of dramatic changes. So if you don't mind, I'll just go through line by line, and if there's any questions, just stop me and I'll do my best to ask. So the property tax and other levies, we're already at the max rate, and you'll see it's jumped up about 6%. That's because property values in town have jumped up, and so the assessed value is higher, and so the rate of taxation that we're asking for is the same rate as last time, but it does end up being a little bit more money. The utility tax replacement excise tax, that's standardized, that we're told what that is from the state. Hotel motel taxes, we're currently investigating. We have $2,500 in estimated revenue for the fiscal year 25 budget. We want the same number for the 26 budget, but we understand that there's a third Airbnb now in town, so that might bump those funds up a little bit. You know, I don't want to overestimate on it. I'd rather underestimate a little. Local option sales tax, we've got $180,000 budgeted for fiscal year 25. We went with about the rate of inflation on this. We figure as, you know, as things are inflated, we went just a 3% bump on what that is. We think that that's a pretty conservative estimate. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more, but I don't think it'll be less than that. Licenses and permits, you'll see there's a dramatic decrease there. We have $26,700 budgeted for fiscal year 25. Again, these are revenues. I don't think we're going to come close to hitting that, and next year, looking at what the economy is doing, and there's probably going to be a little bit of a recession, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of building and permits in the next year. So I revised that down to $15,000 from $26,700, which is a 44% decrease. Use of money and property. So this is leases that we bring in. So these are like rents and interest on money. So when we use our property to make money, that's what this is. So we had a slight increase in the farm lease, and so we bumped up the $56,295 to about $59,000 in expected income from use of money and property next year. Road use tax, we kept it pretty flat. We just did a 1% increase. It's hard to tell. There's some just competing mentalities about the sources of the road use tax and what it's going to end up being. So I estimated what I think is going to be pretty low there. Other state grants and reimbursements, I estimated a little bit lower. We're investigating to see the grants that have come in the last year or two. I want to see how many of them are repeatable, if we can expect those in fiscal year 26, or what the deal is. Still waiting to hear back on some of those, so that's still kind of an open question mark. But I did estimate 14% lower, just to give us a little buffer in case one of those grants isn't going to come through in the next year. Local grants and reimbursements, we're still looking into the likelihood of this, I think the 63,875 is a little bit high for this budget year. I don't think we're going to hit that, so I've estimated down 37% to $40,000. Still a big question mark, and so I can't confidently say that that's going to be the number that we're going to land on, but that's where we're at right now.
And these grants, these are just bare minimum, like, that's not us reaching out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, those are like what we've received, and like we'll receive a grant. If we're doing a project, we might get a few $1,000s in grant funding to be a part of the project. So we're actually putting together a list of all the grants because they're across so many different departments and projects, and compiling those data is a little challenging. But we will get there before we pass the budget. The water utility, we saw a slight uptick in usage. Like, we're still proposing charging the same amount for water and sewer, but we have seen a 1% increase. So I adjusted the income levels there 1%. Or I'm sorry, the revenue numbers. The electric utility, you'll see, went up 9%. So the electric utility has factored in a slight increase in usage, and it's also factored in the new base rate that we charge. I'm getting the final numbers from the electric company on what our cost is going to be for the electric that we're reselling. So we might have to make another adjustment to that base rate. I want to make sure that worst case scenario, we're not losing money in this enterprise fund, and we're either at par or we're making a surplus. So that number may change a little bit in the coming week or two. Same with landfill and garbage. I'm investigating. We know what the cost is for the immediate future. I have to look and see what that contract ends, and if it ends, what that new price is going to be. So I should have those numbers this week. Other fees and charges for services. Haven't yet gotten a complete list of everything that goes into this. So that's still investigating. I need a few more days to get a list of what all of these charges are. We know what some of them are, we don't know what all of them are. So I'm not super confident in that number yet. Miscellaneous, you'll see a 59% decrease. This is the differential between what the camera's generated in revenue and what we think we can generate, in speeding tickets. Obviously, we don't want to be a community that goes out there and gets everybody at 5 over. We're very lenient. With that said, we still write citations, and we'll probably have to bump that up. We have filed an appeal with the state over the cameras. The data were incredibly compelling. I mean, we've already seen ridiculous increases in speeds over by the park. And so we were lucky that the cameras stayed in place, and the camera company allowed us to use the tracking data that they were gathering while the cameras were there, and I used those to sort of prove our case. The cameras out in the west side of town did not make as much of a compelling argument, so I told the state, I said, I've used our most compelling data. We are appealing for all 4 cameras, but if you are in a situation where you don't want to give all 4, but you're open to 2, like, these are the 2 that we want. So if anybody wants to see that appeal, I'm happy to forward it to anybody. Proceeds of debt, 0, and proceeds of capital assets. We'll need to make a budget amendment for the fiscal year 25. As you know, we've sold some property, and so we'll do a budget amendment for fiscal year 25. And as of this point, we don't anticipate selling any city assets in 2026, but that could change based on you all. So, any questions on the revenue side? That's a lot. And staff has been great in helping me compile this. It's, as you know, the way that we keep the books in G-Works is a little bit Byzantine. It's a little behind how I'm used to doing it, so they've been incredibly helpful in translating these into spreadsheets, which is a little bit more digestible. So if there's no questions on the revenue side, and then also, like, if you have questions after you take this home, email me, totally fine, call, I'm happy to get answers. And we can move on to the fund balance. So this is the wider sheet. So I will preface this document by saying there are, as we went through and are looking at all of these funds, there are funds that have not changed in 10 years. This is no joke. Like, money sitting in an account just dormant for a very long time. So this is the year where we are committed to cleaning up all of those, and the mantra moving forward is put the money to use, don't hoard it, and if we are hoarding it and it's a significant amount of money, invest it, get CDs, get better interest on it, because our significant amounts of money are sitting in these reserves and inflation is just killing it. So we either need to get it earning interest at the rate of inflation or better, or we need to start using it and keeping lower reserves and keeping the money flowing. So otherwise we're going to save for years and years and years, and that chunk is going to become worth less and less and less. So some of these estimates are really easy to estimate, and some of them are very difficult. And I'll try to be as transparent as possible. Like, the general fund is really challenging to get super close to a year end. We're only 60% of the way in. We don't know what's going to happen the rest of the year. The general fund is holding very steady, like money coming in, money going out. So each month or each week during the budget process, I might update this just based on new information. You know, if there's a project that has to get done, an emergency or something, we'll adjust that. The Munter Trust. You'll see in the notes here, roll over and use, as we discussed last week, we're going to roll these over, use these in next year's fiscal budget for Christmas lights. We're going to have, a whole new set of Christmas lights, so everything will be uniform. All the lights will actually work. It'll look really nice. It'll be super bright. And then the other half will be used to help pay for, bathroom in the park.
So year 27 is gone, like this will be a X out.
This will be gone, and it brings in about $700 or $800 a year. So once we're all gone, then we'll be able to buy Christmas lights again. But it was made for these types of things, and we need it, and the money is there, and so I think it's time to pull the trigger on it. Library capital improvement. As you all saw in the capital improvement plan, we've got $30,000 to $40,000 in tuck pointing at the library. So we're going to use this $14,000 to pay for half of it. We have Fund 4 is the fire department. So this fund is the fund that generates the income. So when there's like a charge for service or a donation that comes to the city instead of the foundation or the association, that money goes in this account. So I have a note on here that we'll roll this over into the fire equipment reserves, and that will leave us with enough money for a healthy down payment on the pumper truck that we need to order pretty quickly. And then keep in mind, with the pumper truck, we'll make a down payment on it, and then there won't be a fiscal impact for like over 2 years, because it's about 3 years to take delivery. So if you remember from that debt graph that I showed the other day, it'll be nice because we've got $100,000 in debt coming off of our debt load this year, is our last $100,000 payment. That's going to greatly reduce our debt load, and so the timing of ordering a piece of equipment like that and having a significant amount of debt each year will actually still have less of an impact than this last payment for the sewer bonds. So I'm pretty happy with the amount of money that's being reserved there. Next one. Swimming pool, we're going to roll that over. Obviously, we've got a lot of costs with the swimming pool in this next fiscal year. We're going for it with the pool. We're going to update the pumps, the heaters, make sure everything is working, make some capital improvements down there, make it a place where people want to go and spend time. It'll be fully staffed. We're going to guarantee a certain number of hours with the caveat that we can actually get people to work. So we want to make a go of it. So we're going to take that swimming pool money and roll it over and use it for that. The tree board, there's 2,200 in there, almost 2,300. This has been in there for a long time. We're just gonna roll that out and put it back into Public Works and into parks. We'll make sure to use the money, in some way related to the trees. The ambulance, again, just like the fire account, this ambulance account is the income account, so calls for service, so on and so forth. So that $10,310, we're going to transfer that to the ambulance equipment reserve. So that'll be a zero fund balance at the next fiscal year. The Civic Center, same thing as the library. We're going to roll over the $40,430 and use the, whatever the remaining tuck pointing balances, we'll take it out of there. And if there's anything left over, we can decide, how that gets used at that time. The police equipment reserve, there's about $15,251. This may be zeroed out, so we have it budgeted for this year to buy a police SUV. The one that we have has electrical and other problems, and the reason we haven't purchased it yet is because they haven't been available. We got a call this week saying that they have vehicles available. It also happens to be the time of year when the next year model is coming out, so we're trying to beat them up on a better price now that they have some available, so we'll see how that goes. So this may be zeroed out before the end of the fiscal year. As a down payment on that police cruiser, or it may get rolled into the fiscal year 26 if we just decide to put the purchase off until the next fiscal year. Fire equipment reserves, you'll see here that as of right now there's $17,000 on hand. At fiscal year end, we're looking at having that be about $115,000, maybe even a little bit more. And that increase comes from the current balance. There will be $60,000 from the local option sales tax being transferred in at the end of the fiscal year. And then the $38,301 from line item 4. So in the notes, you'll kind of see where that balance is coming from. The ambulance reserve is currently at $146,000. We anticipate at year end that going up to $216,000, and that's $10,301 from line item 7, as well as $60,000 being transferred from the local option sales tax. And that puts the ambulance department in really good shape because we don't need an ambulance immediately, but we'll need one eventually, and so we can look at the local option sales tax as part of the next fiscal year and decide if we want to keep splitting it up a third and a third and a third the way it is, or if we want to make some adjustments, because I don't think we need to be putting $60,000 away every year for a new ambulance. Like, we have a really big chunk of money already, and so it might behoove us to move that money elsewhere. Not move it from this fund, but move the funding source into another funding source, so we're not over saving. Street equipment reserves. This is we're going to roll this over and use it for the capital improvement plan. There are some trucks and other equipment that we need out of the street fund. Industrial park equipment reserve. Nobody has any idea what this is for, so we're still investigating. It's $8,300. So we don't know if this fund is limited to purchasing equipment that is related to the industrial park. If it's not, then we'll just propose a fund balance transfer and put it back into the general fund and use it where we need it. Pool equipment reserves, line item 14, draw $9,000. We're going to roll this over and use this in fiscal year 26 for capital improvement plan or projects at the pool. The clerk admin equipment reserve, this is for computer replacements. We are having like 1.5 computer issues, so we may buy a new desktop out of this. So either this $34.95 will get zeroed out by the end of the fiscal year, or whatever it is, we'll just roll over, but probably keep it in the same account. Parks equipment reserve, roll this $28,470 over. Veterans Memorial Reserve, roll that over, it's only $249. So we may have to make a decision on what to do with it, but it's a low priority. Road use tax, we're still estimating if this is going to go down by the end of the fiscal year. We don't have any immediate projects that are feeding off of this, but that could change. So we're going to go with the same number with a rollover, and then if something comes up in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll modify that number. iJobs, 428, we'll roll it over. The employee benefits, that should be zeroed by the end of the year. You know, we make a transfer into this fund every year from the general fund, so we'll get that down as close to zero as possible, estimate what we need for employee benefits next year, and if there's anything left over, then we'll make a transfer from the general fund to balance it out. The emergency fund, we're going to roll it over. I have no idea what it's used for. It's not much money. It would not do much in an emergency, but $478, we'll try to come up with something for that, and if we don't, we'll suggest putting it back in the general fund. Local option sales tax, right now the fund is at $293,702. We'll be taking minimum $180,000 out in June of 2025 before the end of the fiscal year. And that will leave, about $103,000 with another $70,000 coming in. So we can decide if we just want to roll this over, or we could make a budget amendment for this year and take the $100,000 that's in there and distribute it to whatever fund we need. So that's an option. We'll see how everything lays out with the expenditures next to the income, and see if we need that $100,000 for something to not have to go to debt for it, then maybe I'll make a suggestion to use it. TIF, line item 125. We figured out the highest and best use of this $1,600 is to put up a new sign at the industrial park. I remember driving in town, I'm like, I wonder whose telephone number that goes to, and I dialed it. It's out of service probably for a few years. So, and we have, a 3-acre lot down there that is doing nothing. So, I think that we'll do a new sign, we'll put land available, 3 acres, call us at City Hall, put the telephone number, and see if anything happens from there. That can only be spent down there at the industrial park because it was part of a tax increment finance project. FEMA, we've got $3257 in there for FEMA. I have no idea why or what it was supposed to be used for. If anybody knows, that would be great. If not, we'll figure out what to do with it. Dean, do you have any idea what this FEMA money is for?
Well, the 1 year we got FEMA money because we had some basements that got flooded.
Okay.
And a guy came in and gave the city some money to dish out to different people.
Great.
That's the only thing I can think that was left over.
Okay. So I'll do a little bit, thank you for that. I'll do a little bit more investigating on this, and, if we want to keep that fund for other natural disasters or whatever, it might be nice to have a little bit of money. Debt service should be close to zero by the end of the fiscal year, and then we'll know exactly how much our debt service will need to be for the following year. So in the expenditure side of the budget, we'll have a debt service line item. Then we got ARPA, American Rescue Plan, still got 2888 in there, investigating what we can do with this. If we can roll it over, if we can put it in another fund. If it's unrestricted, then we'll just suggest cleaning that out and putting it back in the general fund. Line item 322 is CDBG. These are community development block grants. This is usually federal money that's passed through the state and locally managed. We're going to look at this amount of money. It's been dormant for a long time, and we think we need to put this money to work either in giving grants to make improvements to housing, or if there's housing that needs to get torn down, maybe have a grant to tear something down, beautification, any number of things. and we'd like to maybe talk to local suppliers and see if we're willing to use some government funds on improvements. Maybe they're willing to give, discounts, and try to have a working relationship like that to get the most out of these funds. And so we'll have an actual proposal for that. That'll require a resolution because it'll be, kind of a new policy for that fund. So that'll be in the coming weeks. Water reserve. So we've got, not water reserve. This account is pretty stable, doesn't move much up or down, and there's almost $200,000 in there. I would highly suggest, obviously we're going to roll this over into the next budget year, but I think I'll be making a proposal to put at least half of it in a CD. Like right now it's not getting anything, and it's just sitting there, and even if we did a ladder of CDs where we're not tying the money up for a year, but maybe 3 months at a time, we're going to get better than what we're getting in the bank account. And, I just hate to see big balances not getting any, discernible interest. Water deposits will roll over. We obviously we have to sit on those funds. Those are rolling, and then water capital projects, so we'll roll those over as well. Next is the sewer. That's another one with a pretty big balance, $279,000. We don't have any immediate plans for this, and we don't have any large-scale sewer projects in the foreseeable future. So I'll be making a recommendation to put some of that into a CD, so we can get a little bit better interest on it. Then we have 611 is the sewer sinking fund. This is it seems a little redundant. This is a savings account for whatever. There's not much in there. So I want to see, I don't know what the state law is about the sinking fund and what we can do with those funds, if we can roll that into, just the sewer fund, or if we can roll it into something else. If it has to stay there, then we'll come up with, we'll make sure to use it in the next capital improvement project that requires sewer funding. Then we've got electric, another one with a really, really large balance. This basically includes, about $1 million reserve for electrical stuff. So the gen plant is $1 million expenditure waiting to happen. We've discussed maybe getting out of the electric business. I think we need to have further discussions about those. But as of right now, this $1,261,000 is pretty stable, because with the increase in the electric rate, the base rate that we did, we're at about par. So we don't anticipate that this number is going to change much. I really think we ought to get, at least a big chunk of this $1 million in, guaranteed stable investment and getting a little better interest than what we're getting on our checking account. Same with the electric generator sinking fund. This has been pretty dormant. We'll roll that over. We're going to roll over the electric sinking fund and the electric meter fund. All those will get rolled over, and we'll use those in electric-related capital improvement projects that come up. And then you'll see the last two, 634 and 635. These are actually in CDs at the bank currently. I didn't have the interest rate that we're getting. Abby's working on it, is going to get it to me. But these two things are tied up in CDs, not for very long. I mean, we can, get them out pretty quickly. But that's a good example of, big balances that could do better in CDs. So this was a ton of information given in 20 minutes, and so I apologize for that. But if you have any questions or comments, concerns, observations, it would be great feedback. And obviously, none of these are set in stone tonight, so like as you review these at home, you know, these are just projections and you know, initial thoughts. So, if you do want to take time, like I said, I'm available 24/7, just call and text with information or questions. And, you know, as I compile, I got a bunch of questions that will get answered next week about the expense side. As the questions come in, I'll compile them and give answers to everybody at the same time.
So a lot of these reserve accounts will probably be zeroed out. So like, how do we fund those again? I mean,
Yeah.
we just have to build out as a budget and
Yep.
just start saving all over again.
Yeah. And so, you know, I've heard, you know, when I came here, I don't know, 9 months ago, you know, I kept hearing this mantra like, oh, we're in such a bad fiscal position. Like, we're not. Like, fiscally, we're in really good shape. Like, our amount of debt compared to the size of the budget is completely manageable. It's getting better, you know, $100,000. Like, our debt load is going down 40% after this next year. So, and we have a lot of money reserved for projects. So, projects that would have had to gone to bond, like buying a new ambulance, the money's already there. Saving up to do a big down payment for a pumper truck at the fire department, the money's already there. Like, these are really good things. Most municipalities don't have any, like, reserves like this. So, I feel really hopeful that, that we have saved like this. And as we zero these out, part of the capital improvement plan is to let us know, like, what are the equipment purchases over the next 5 to 7 years? What are the road projects? What are the trucks and cars that we need to buy? So that we know, all right, we're going to need X amount each year, and that'll help us to determine how much we need to put back into these sinking funds. So, yeah, but the fact that they're there, and I get the whole wanting to hoard and make big balances, but unless they're being invested, inflation is just eating these like Pac-Man. And so it would be better to use them and have to go to bond at a little bit higher amount for the next projects, just to get these projects off the books and get this money to use, you know, so, yeah, I feel really comfortable. The staff has done an incredible job on the capital improvement plan and on estimating, and they've been, like, incredible in getting this all pulled together into something that's digestible and reliable and something that is many, many years out into the future. So we'll know by the end of this budget session, but not tonight, but the budget process calendar, we'll know exactly how much year to year after we spend these reserves down, how much we're going to need each year to build them back up to get, you know, big down payments or projects done. So, and this has been an incredible amount of, like, I can't even begin to articulate how much work went into just getting it to this point.
Right.
And getting it in a digestible format, because we were talking about, like, the budget sheets are Byzantine. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody operates with those budget sheets.
Oh, this is great. This makes it a lot easier to understand where they're at and what we have available.
And where they're going, you know, it's yeah, so. And then on the actual Excel sheet, like, these are all programmed.
Right.
So if I move one, you know, to another fund, like, the math is programmed in there.
Right.
Obviously, you can't do that on the printer, but, so, yeah, I feel really good about this, and I think that this is a new way of budgeting, but I think it puts more power in your hands to understand what the big picture is long-term, and it allows us to make better decisions, and it also allows us to not have departments fighting each other for every penny every year, right? This way, if we do it the right way, everybody gets what they need, and we plan for it, and there's no surprises, because surprises is what causes, you know, arguments. So, no surprises, good planning, everybody's happy.
Yeah. Great.
Looks good, thank you.
Yeah, happy with that? Okay. Like I said, if questions come up, just don't hesitate to call me anytime.
You're here. Okay.
I have fun, yeah.
Yeah? You do? I got a text from Deb on my Chicago phone. Yeah, I got the Iowa phone now, so the Chicago phone is
Well,
dead.
he told me, he held his phone up when he got that.
Yeah.
But do you think he'd say, you want that number? Oh, no.
Yeah, so, anyway, and then the other, well, we'll wait till there's a motion in a second
Yep.
on
Oh.
number 5.
Is there anything else on the budget?
No, I think we have to digest it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll move to number 5, motion to set property tax hearing date as March 26, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Need a motion.
I'll second it.
All right,
Okay,
motion second.
so this is a very specific thing. We have to set the tax hearing for March. We have until the end of April to pass the budget. So we've got plenty of time, we're taking it slow and steady and making calculated changes. But we do have to have the tax hearing. March 26th will be the day that we do it. And just for transparency, that is only the property tax version of the budget.
Yeah.
And that's what tells the public what the worst case scenario on their property tax bill is going to be.
Do we have to have that published so long before the public hearing?
It's already published in the state system. So the state requires us to fill out the property tax portion on the state budget, the long-term debt that we still have on our books, and then the property tax notice. So all of that was completed today. We had until March 5th to do it, but I'd rather just get it done early and get this scheduled. And then we can make amendments, on that from now until the hearing.
Yep.
And then once we have the hearing, we could lower the numbers, but we can't make them higher. So I feel like we're in really good shape, and the new state system is a lot different than how you have your budget sheets. And so with these spreadsheets, I'm trying to bridge that gap and get us into a mentality of using the state system as our budgeting tool instead of G-Works, because G-Works is literally 25 years behind on accounting. Like it's incredible. So fun to use, but it's like flying an old airplane.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun, but sometimes there's not like dials and gauges.
It's like driving an old car without central air.
Exactly. No
Yeah,
power
no.
steering. Manual brakes. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what will happen at the budget hearing, and everything that the state needs has been submitted. It's been confirmed. I've got it printed off and in the file.
Any other questions? No, we'll go to vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yep.
Deb?
Yes.
All right, other business?
No other business. Somebody stole our strawberry.
I'm holding it for ransom.
Yeah.
I do have a question though, if we're gonna go ahead and update these computers, I know there's been problems with them.
Yeah.
Are we you talked about G-Works, and I know there's been problems. We're gonna have a better system.
So G-Works has, they're moving everything to the cloud, and I've had a sneak peek at their cloud-based platform, and it looks way better. So I think what we'll do is give that a try, because we already know how to use it. We'll give it a try on the cloud-based thing, and then if it doesn't look like it's gonna do well for us, then we can start investigating other options. But for now, I think we know how to use it.
Right.
It's a pain from time to time. In other ways, it's great. Like utility billing is really good, and when people come in to pay their bills, it's really good. So it does have its benefits. My complaint is only on the.
I think there was
on the button.
problems with when they did bring it in, that there wasn't training in that, because I know there's other people that talked to our personnel that said, oh, you can do this and this and this with G-Works, and it's like, they never knew that was an option that they could get into and use.
Yeah. So, with the cloud-based thing, the nice thing is they're moving the whole country onto the cloud-based thing, so their training is really, really good. They've got, online training, unlimited amounts, so we can go on and learn how to use it. Their staff is, willing and able to, help us anytime. And they've been pretty responsive to us when we do have a problem. So we'll give it a shot, and then we'll see how it goes. Yeah. If it's epic fail, then we'll look at something else. If it seems to work out, then we'll go with the status quo.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
All right.
I wasn't sure if you were thinking about something to say. You're just kind of sitting there. I'm good.